In the previous short section, I introduced the concept of coercive control and briefly talked about the aims of the perpetrator. I also introduced the concept of the pyramid of control to explain the various levels of control that perpetrators will utilize to exert a power over their victim. In this section, we'll go into more detail about the perpetrators and we'll describe who the perpetrators are, and we'll also look at a case study of a perpetrator, which will helpfully explain what the types of tactics that you might see within somebody who's controlling another or yourself. The first thing to note about perpetrators is that they are not limited to any particular group, ethnicity, culture, or gender identity. They can be found in a range of different settings and places. They can be intimate partners, parents, mother, father, relatives. They can be members of sports clubs and groups and other interest groups and clubs such as arts and crafts or hobby groups. They can be managers and co-workers in work settings, all members and leaders of religious and spiritual groups. Within any particular organisation, they can be found at all levels. The one thing to note, though, is the higher up the hierarchy they go, the more damage they can inflict on others. This is because they accrue to themselves more power and influence, which they can then use against others. Despite the differences in individuals, they all tend to share some common psychological traits, which I'll go into more detail as these presentations progress. The other point is that they can present themselves as outwardly very confident and secure. But the reality is that they are all deeply insecure. And as a result of this insecurity, they need and possess a deep pathological motivation to control others. And through this, they perpetuate the mask of being in control, of being in command of everything, and deflect away the risk that the true self, the insecure self, will be exposed. Now, in the following section, we will discuss a short case study about a perpetrator. In the next section, I will talk about enablers of the abuser, and we'll introduce a short case study related to enablers. These case studies may invoke memories and experiences similar to what you've been through previously if you've been a victim of abuse, trauma, and control. I want you to know that this is normal. This is natural. And to help you with this, I'll next introduce a short exercise to help you deal with the emotions as they arise. This exercise is called dropping anchor. I learned this exercise when doing a course on acceptance and commitment therapy. I've utilized this with many of my clients who found it helpful to deal with the rise of emotions and feelings when they are triggered. So, part of this, I want you, if you can, just sit very comfortably in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. You may wish to close your eyes. Feel the support of the chair and the floor. As you do, breathe slowly through your nose. Feel the breath enter. Notice how it feels, its temperature, whether it's dry or moist, and follow your breath. Thoughts, feelings may arise. Do not try to repress them or ignore them. Rather, acknowledge them, then let them flow away like water in a fountain. And having released them, return again to your breath. As you inhale, notice your abdomen rise. As you get to full inhalation, notice the tension in your abdomen. Hold it for a couple of seconds. Then slowly release the tension, allowing your breath to exhale through your nose. As you do this, notice your breath, how warm it is, how moist. Then slowly breathe in again, noticing your breath as before. And do this as long as you need to. And when you're ready, just look around the room. Pick a color, red, blue, brown, etc. and name anything you can see in that color. And then having done this, just return to the room. So now we're going to go through a perpetrator case study. In this case study, John is a sales manager in a medium-sized business. He's diligent and respected by his co-workers and managers. John is known to be professional and hardworking, but at times he can be very pedantic with a short fuse. In his spare time, he helps to coach the local junior soccer team and is a member of the soccer club's committee. His wife, Jane, is a stay-at-home mother who looks after their 3 children, Robert, aged 8, Susan, aged 5, and Lewis, aged 2. John considers himself to be the leader and provider of the house and does not trust Jane with all or any of the finances. He refuses to allow Jane to have her own bank account. Jane has to seek approval for any purchase, including clothing for herself and children. While Jane was close to her parents and siblings growing up, John has increasingly isolated Jane from her family, whom she has not seen for 3 years. So just take a few moments to ponder. If this brings up any memories or feelings, just go back to the drop-in anchor exercise for a few moments, as long as you need, and then return back. Just as long as you need. You know, there's no timetable, no need to say that I have to do this quickly or slowly. Just as long as you need. And then when you do, I've got some questions here that you can consider, either about your own experience or those you care for. Firstly, what experiences were the same or different to that of John and Jane? Have you identified things that are same or different? What was the same and what was different? And how did they affect you and those you know? What feelings arise when you remember these experiences? And as going through this, If you need to, just go back to the drop-in anchor exercise, then come back to this question. What were you feeling within your body at the time that you remembered these experiences? Where were they located? What did they feel like? Were there muscles in particular that were tight, tense? Were there parts in body that shook? Which part was particularly affected? Just pause, take time, go back to the drop-in anchor exercise if you need to as you go through this exercise. And as you do this, you might also want to discuss with people you trust, with family, with friends, with mental health support staff if you have that, with colleagues if you work in the mental health sector, or your clinical supervisor. And as you do this, take as long as you like and return to this as often as you like. And know that whatever you feel, whatever you think, whatever you experience within your body is normal, is natural, and is part of the healing journey.